Hello and welcome to this insider session, Hyperautomation, a holistic approach to intelligent business solutions. I'm your guide on this hyperautomation journey, Krause, Senior Vice President of Innovation here at Naviant, and I couldn't be more excited to share all this amazing content with you today. So let's start off with a little quote from Tom Preston Werner. You're either the one that creates the automation or you're getting automated. And based on your attendance here today, every one of you is the one that is going to create the automation. And by the end of today, in this session, you'll be able to create the hyper automation. What is hyper automation? Hyperautomation is the use of advanced tools such as AI, ML, RPA to automate complex business processes. By integrating multiple tools, hyperautomation achieves end-to-end automation, transforming your business operations and improving your decision-making. This is really, really important because it's end-to-end. So I want to take the entire holistic approach to the process. And I can use all kinds of advanced tools or technologies to be able to orchestrate an entire solution. So we're going to dive into some examples of that coming up. But why would I want to involve a hyperautomation into my busy day? Well, first of all, you're going to improve your efficiency of your process by hyperautomating it. You'll enhance compliance requirements. And for those of you that have compliance teams, you know exactly what I mean. This is especially important, like in healthcare, finance, HR. You're going to increase productivity for your end users. You're going to enhance the accuracy of your solutions by taking advantage of these advanced tools. And those will ultimately reduce your costs, streamline the overall operation, and improve scalability. Scaling is so critical right now with folks retiring and having to replace workers, and you're asked to do a whole lot more with a whole lot less. These solutions will allow you to scale without having to add a whole lot of headcount. So what are some of the most common tools in your hyperautomation solution? Well, the one that comes to mind the most is robotic process automation, or RPA. RPA is a tool that mimics human behavior. It can literally have a bot perform functions just like you would do. So if you go do a lookup, RPA can do that for you. And so now you're adding automation, you're hyperautomating. Intelligent document processing, most of the IDP solutions that are out there today have ML included in it, along with some AI functionality, but it will classify and extract data off of documents for you, and that improves accuracy of your documents. Business process management, or BPM, that's really your automated workflow engine that is driving it. For those of you that have OnBase today, you know exactly what I'm talking about because you have a wonderful workflow automation engine in BPM. Enterprise Content Management, or ECM, that is going to be your storage repository for a lot of your content. It is an amazing resource for hyperautomation because content and information are going to drive efficiencies in all of our processes. Speaking of information, CRM, or customer relationship management, is really, really critical. And many of you have Salesforce today. So integrating and being able to leverage your customer information, including service tickets, sales orders, is all extremely helpful. Enterprise Resource Planning, or ERP, that's commonly like an SAP system that'll have financial information, HR information, and supply chain information that will be necessary for further hyper-automating a solution. And we'll give you an example of that coming up. And then the last two that I have for you is integration platforms, or IP. This is really where I can seamlessly orchestrate that communication between our different applications to be able to hyper automate my solution. Because typically my solution involves information from multiple systems that I need to be able to get. So having this integration ability, whether that's an API, a web service, or maybe even RPA to go get me that information so I can make an informed decision, either an automated or for the end user. And last but not least, everybody's absolute favorite, artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is a very broad category. There are many things contained within artificial intelligence, but we're going to focus on machine learning along with LLMs, or natural language processing, because a lot of chat bots and a lot of capabilities that we'll show you later today are fed off of artificial intelligence and a large language model, or LLM. Well, that was a whole lot of alphabet soup. And speaking of alphabet soup, you have to keep in mind that there's not going to be a single technology that's going to hyper-automate your entire solution. Typically, it's a stack of technologies brought seamlessly together to achieve your hyperautomation goal over time. And so just like in this picture, which I absolutely love the picture, it reminds me as a kid having alphabet soup. When you bring order to it, you can make beautiful things, like in this case, a thank you on a spoon, which is really kind of fun. So what's your path to hyperautomation? Well, Gartner came up with this really nice little picture for, if you're starting on the left, most of you are already in the space of, if you've got some simple automation, you got some rules-based RPA in place or some rules-based workflows in place, the simple if then that, if then do this type of logic, which is a great starting point. It's a beautiful spot to be in because you're already doing some automation. And no, for those of you wondering, email is not an automation layer. But then as you move down the line over to the hyperautomation space, you can see now you're getting into chatbots, more workflows, and of course, AI, or adding in intelligence and machine learning and algorithms to improve the outcomes of your process. And that is really powerful. And you'll see an example of that coming up. But where do I start? I'm diving in, you got me excited. I know what hyperautomation is. Well, Naviant is a process-first organization, and hyperautomation requires really good design. And that includes the entire holistic approach. So we want to take a look at the process, not just for my department, because that is one really important part, but what about the entire organization? I want to look at it from the moment that something enters my organization to the time it should be leaving my organization. And where does that start with, like, what initiates that process? Is it a form off my website? Is it a mobile app submission? Is it a vendor sending me something? Is it internal, external, both? All of those things should be considered. And then who needs to participate in this process? Because it's likely not just my department. It's likely 4 or 5 departments within my organization in order to complete the entire process. So who all needs to be involved in this? And where does the information live that can help support hyperautomating my process? Is it all in a single solution? Is it all in my CRM solution? Or is it maybe spun across my CRM, my ERP, and my ECM? Wow, that was a lot of letters, but all those systems can play a critical role into hyperautomation. And last but not least, define what our desired outcomes are. What are my goals for automating this process? What am I hoping to achieve? What are my KPIs or OKRs related to this outcome? Once we define all of those things, we're in a perfect spot now to look at opportunities in our organization. I'm going to highlight just a few of them here, but there are many, many, many hyperautomation opportunities in an organization. In fact, once we get talking together, you'll find more and more come to mind just as we spur the conversation. But let's dive in and take a look at customer service. All of us have used customer service at some point in time, whether that's to submit an IT ticket, or I need to be able to submit some information to my customer service rep related to a request. I would like to have the ability to leverage and hyperautomate that submission to be personalized to me so that it knows me as a part of my ticket submission. I'd also like it to be able to go to a knowledge base and allow me to self-service all of my requests. Because wouldn't it be great if I could just submit in natural language what my request is? Like, say, I've just received the blue screen of death on my computer. What do I do next? And the knowledge base will then give me what those next steps are without me having to contact IT help desk, at least not until it's necessary. I also have a lot of requests coming in from a variety of different things, and maybe just based on the number of requests and age of a request, or by the tone of a request, I can auto escalate to a senior member of the team. What an amazing hyperautomation tool. This will improve my response times, allow me to get the right work in front of the right people, give you a very personalized experience. And of course, if I can use self-service as a part of that solution so that I can save my agents a call, that is immensely helpful. That is improving productivity and efficiencies. And you're going to leverage a lot of different tools like chatbots, RPA, ECM to achieve that result. Now, customer service is just one aspect of it. HR has a litany of opportunities for us for hyperautomation. From the applicant tracking portion, where you're going to take in resumes or applicants into your system and do that entire hiring process, to once they are hired, you're like excited, you're like, yay, I need to onboard them. There's not typically just one person doing the onboarding. It's not just the hiring manager. It's an entire team of people from IT and security and facilities, procurement, all could be involved. Hyperautomation gives you the capability to do that and scale it and make it efficient and ensure that that brand new employee has an amazing experience at your organization. It also is a great way to leverage it for like things like performance management. If you're only doing annual reviews, it may not be so critical. But certainly if you're doing it quarterly, having a fully automated process flow that can maybe even tie into your calendar to make some recommendations for achievements for that particular quarter, immensely helpful in improving that employee experience. Let's focus on the conversations with employees rather than data entry. And that's what the tools will really help us to do, because we want to simplify the process to make it easier for employees and applicants to engage with us. We want to ensure that we're meeting all of our compliance requirements. We also want to improve that employee experience just through a streamlined workflow, understanding when in the timing of these events really, really matters. And of course, if I can self-serve through an employee chatbot that looks at things like, what is our policy for bereavement? How do I find out who's in charge of my IT support? I need to place a call, or maybe I need a crisis line, or I've got a change of life thing I need to report. How do I do that? All of those should be answered through a chatbot, not directly to an HR personnel, saving the HR personnel time and making it much more efficient for the employee, because a lot of times those questions come up after hours. So let's engage with them where they need to be met. And that can be using RPA and chatbots, maybe your learning management system or your applicant tracking system to be able to perform all of those functions. Now, this one's near and dear to our heart. Many of you have our accounts payable automation workflow, but it is literally the poster child for a hyper automation solution, because everybody gets an invoice. Everyone has to pay an invoice. You place an order, you receive that invoice. We can leverage tools like IDP to do the classification extraction. We can match it up to your ERP, so we can look at the line item detail and match it up to your PO. Or if you're non-PO, that's okay. We can route that automatically to the appropriate approver so that they can do that quickly, so you can get it to seamlessly to your ERP for payment. So this entire process is really, really critical to vendor relationship. So if I can streamline all of that, I can also do little things like check for fraud. Are they submitting multiple invoice requests? Are they have errors on their invoice? So now that I've got my data extracted, I can do validation rules to say, hey, the quantity and the price didn't equal the total. That's interesting. And I can improve my visibility into it. In fact, if I have a vendor portal, I can give them access to see where is it in the payment process, so they're not calling my representatives in accounting to see where this thing is. So RPA and IDP, ECM are all critical to this process, and we can tie into any type of ERP. So never fear with hyperautomation and invoice processing. Now, maybe you have a claims process. Maybe it's a healthcare claims process or an insurance claim process for property, or maybe you have a warranty claims process. Your goods and services that you sell need to be warrantied. Well, a claims process is immensely helped with hyperautomation and these advanced tools that we have today. And I'm going to show you an example later. But typically today, a self-service claim portal, whether that's through a website or through the mobile app, you submit it in, you can leverage IDP to do some data extraction, you can use machine learning to do some adjudication, and computer vision for damage evaluation. One of the more exciting things that have come out of the AI evolution, and machine learning based on fraud detection. So a lot of really good things to automate the claims process, no matter what type of claim it is. Because the goal is we want to accelerate the assessment of that claim, reduce the overall processing errors, and improve the accuracy along with all of our compliance requirements, but deliver it very quickly. Our clients that are making their claims requests need answers quickly. They're in dire need. They may have lost a car, a house, or maybe had a health emergency, and we want to make sure we're getting them the right information as rapidly as we possibly can. So IDP and AI and RPA, ECM can all help us achieve that goal. And last but certainly not least, maybe I've got an application. In this case, I'm showing you a digital mortgage application, but say I'm going to apply to be a new contractor, a partner, maybe I've got an application for a new car loan. Any type of application process can benefit from hyperautomation, because I'm going to submit my application. It's going to come in and I'm going to need to do some assessment of your application. I might need additional details from your application through, say, a portal where you're going to upload supporting content. I'm going to check all of that content and make sure that they're all accurate and that I meet my compliance requirements. And then I'm going to put it against some rules to make sure that, yes, it actually works, that this makes sense from my perspective. Because there's sometimes, if it's a mortgage, if it's above the amount, if you don't meet the requirements, I'm not going to be able to get you that loan. Maybe the property doesn't meet the requirements. I can use RPA to go check the property and say, does this property actually exist? Do I have the data to support this particular sale? That's an immensely helpful automation in this process. So why do I take my application process and make it automated? Because I can improve the data collection and extraction of all the information. I can do background automated credit checks. I can send underwriting all the criteria that they need to make an effective decision. And I can even use an AI-powered valuation model to do an appraisal to, again, expedite how fast that happens. That gives me a great customer experience. And those are just a couple of examples of how hyperautomation can benefit your organization. There are so many more use cases, and I encourage you to bring forward your use cases. And now I want to dive into a couple of key products that really help drive hyperautomation. The first is Hyland Content Intelligence Knowledge Discovery. It's their AI tool. And some of you may have seen this out at Community Live. In this example, you can see I've got an agent set up on the left called medical malpractice, and I've submitted information. I've linked it to all of my claims information. And I've asked this particular agent to create a chronological timeline by date and time for the claim submitted by Thomas Powell. So Thomas Powell submitted a claim. You can see the timeline. It started off on February 10th at 2:30. And February 10th, there was another update. A really great way to leverage AI to produce an output that is something I need to do as a part of my job, which is chronologically ordering this particular claim. So you can see it went through the dates. Now I jump down and you can see the last entry is October 15th. And right beneath that are 6 documents supporting this chronological timeline. So we've got our deposition, medical records, we've got our billing records, letter of intent, claim notification. All of this information was collated by the agent, scoured through, and then producing this timeline. And if I click on one of these documents, say the deposition, I can see exactly the reference for that particular entry, like on September 10th in this example. So this deposition on September 10th, that's when that was taken and is a part of my timeline. Immensely helpful to a claims process. AI agents can take all this unstructured content and make it very useful for us. Now, these are text style forms using an AI agent. And a lot of you use ChatGPT. It's one of the most popular ones that have been out there forever. What if I have images? What can I do with images to help my process and hyper automate my process? Well, I took this photo from some storm damage on a home and I put it in ChatGPT and said, what is contained in this image and does it warrant an insurance claim? It answered the question. This is an image of a residential home that has sustained significant structural damage due to a fallen tree. The tree appears to have collapsed on the roof and the side of the building, severely damaging the roofing, siding, guttering, and structural supports. Yeah, I would agree with that assessment. I think that's a very accurate assessment from our friends at ChatGPT. And of course, it says, yes, this scenario certainly warrants an insurance claim under a typical homeowner's insurance policy. Can you imagine if this was tied to my policy administration system and I had submitted this photo with my phone and it said, Chris, your policy covers this damage from this fallen tree on your house. I see that it is a severe damage and I would recommend that you submit a claim immediately. Here is the claim link, and it started filling in the information for me. What an amazing hyper automation opportunity to personalize the experience and make it far more efficient for me to submit all of that information. Now I want to show another hyper automation demo from their fearless leader of our sales engineering team, Mr. Jeff Comer. He is the best at providing guidance and an example of hyper automation. And in this example, we're going to cover through what is a public records request. And this is being done through a highly accessible portal, a Hyland content portal by Jadu, where we click the link to open up the form. This form is an accessible form. This form, of course, you can see it has initial fields that are required. I love this form because the top portion has your progress. So you see that blue bar that was at the top. It's showing you where you are in filling this out. Of course, all forms should meet great form design. We want to make sure that, because forms are designed to be data collectors, we want to make sure that we're collecting accurate data. If you notice that your forms are not giving you the information that you need, then we should be updating your forms to match the exact needs and requirements. So we shouldn't allow somebody to submit something inaccurately that would slow down our process, because that hurts hyperautomation. Invalid or missing data, of course, hurts hyperautomation. So as we roll through this, you can see that it comes through, he's filling in the rest of the fields, it supports the drop down. So again, I can't make a mistake unnecessarily by putting something in that doesn't exist. I pick the right ones. And of course I have skip logic available. So here, once I check the box, that reveals a new field for me. So I can only see that once I've checked the box, otherwise I don't even see it. And then of course, at the end, I get a chance to review all the information to make sure I've done it accurately before I submit the form. Now, once I submit the form, behind the scenes, there's a whole lot of automation happening. And you can see on the screen, the status view window that is showing us this record was created by the submission of that form. That form automatically created a brand new case in our WorkView case management solution. And that case, Jeff's going to open here in just a second. There we go. Had a whole bunch of automation happening. So it took the data from the form itself and populated it in the request details. In the request details, it used the workflow automation to take those details and ultimately go through and do some things like a search for documents. Do I have anything supporting this request already? That is an amazing efficiency. I didn't have to have somebody go out there and do that work for me. As soon as that was submitted, it went and did all of that for me. And that's everything that was in OnBase, but it could be other systems as well. So now it also auto-assigned a task to perform some of that record collection review. And you can see this particular task was completed by this person. So we can say for certain requests, go and auto assign it to somebody. Maybe it's a police record, maybe it's a building inspection record, but there's still an item to do. So even though this request is almost done, it automatically took some records and said, I can't distribute those. Those are non-deliverable records. And then these other records, it is now saying, I need to do redaction. And redaction is a really important part of any kind of public records request, because I don't want sensitive information leaving without it being redacted. And there are opportunities in the hyperautomation space to do automated redaction based on some criteria. In this example, we're just going to show you redacting a single field, a social security number. We're going to do that interactively. So in this case, the user takes action and says, I'm covering this up, and I'm going to burn in this redaction onto this document so before I distribute it. So a really important step, and a step that is not currently automated in this example, but there is that opportunity to do. But I've just completed that redaction. So now that record's there. He's burned that into the image. It's now become a record within this particular request. Now he can open up that request and he can distribute this request to the recipient. So if you take a look over the review, you notice no longer am I awaiting any redactions. That was all completed. And if I highlight it, now I can just take this and I can actually verify that record. So it submits it. And now with the click, it will open up that particular document and I can do my validation that I've got a secure record. And Jeff's machine's running a little slow. And now we've got our verification. So our requested records are there. I absolutely love the look and feel of the way this demo works as far as that part goes. Now all of my information is in here and I say release. You notice at the top of the bar, color is changed to green, meaning I've successfully completed that. It's added that record directly to my documents. So anybody who ever looks at this request, say, hey, did it meet all the requirements? Was it meet our compliance for distribution? Yes, it does. And as a requester, I can go back out to the portal and I can look at my request and I can see the status. I can see it was completed. I can even click the download button. So if the email distribution didn't work, I still have the ability to download. A really, really powerful use case. And this could be true for distributing any types of content out there, whether it's vendor invoices, maybe it's an application process, any type of request. Well, hyperautomation, reimagining your process is so critical. Increased productivity, improved efficiencies, saving all of that money, improving your compliance, accuracy, and operations, and probably most importantly, you get to scale at the speed of business. Amazingly, amazing, powerful tools. I'm super excited to share Naviant earning two, not one, but two Hyland competencies. One for hyperautomation of order fulfillment and one for hyperautomation of AP processing. Really proud of the team for their efforts in creating these fully hyperautomated solutions for companies just like yours. So if you're interested in these, please contact us right away. We're happy to implement that for you. But maybe you want to learn a little more. Here are a couple of resources to help you start your hyperautomation journey. One is on Hyland Community, where you already have a nice login, where there are pages dedicated to what is hyperautomation and the scope of hyperautomation. Then there's an ebook, Hyperautomation with Generative AI. This book gives you a lot of great tips and tricks for leveraging automation tools to create your whole hyperautomation experience. I'd like to finish with a quote. That quote is from Maya: do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. And now you know better. You know hyperautomation can drive efficiencies, reduce costs, improve accuracy and compliance. You can do better. And I encourage each and every one of you to dive in today and do a little bit better. Thank you so much for joining this super secret insider session where we talked about hyperautomation, a holistic approach to intelligent business solutions. I look forward to connecting with you on LinkedIn through this QR code.